And there you have it. The markets are officially closed on this Wednesday, April 22nd. Welcome, investors and traders. And we have a lot to cover in this very quick 30-minute session. Before we get into the charts, I want to point out something right now. While the Dow is up right on the close, the Dow Transportation Average is getting literally punished. And we'll show you some of the candles that are pretty amazing. In fact, the one-day downtick that we're seeing here in the transportation average is the biggest downtick in 4 years. And almost no one's paying attention to it except Nod and I. It seems like, we got Nod on the sidelines ready to give you some of the news coming out of the Nod live feed. For those of you who subscribe to his service, understand that we're beating Bloomberg to the punch. So if you're looking for relevant information regarding the markets and you want to get it in a timely fashion, make sure you go to that scan code right at the bottom right there. And you could take your phone and scan that and submit your name and your information for a 15-day free trial. And we love to talk about that. So Nod, what do you have coming out of the news feed here as we come into the after hour session? I know Tesla is up next for earnings announcement, so we're on the edge of our seats for that. We'll see what happens. We'll take a look at the minute by minute chart. But what else do you have for us?
Yeah, I've got my eyes on screen number 11 for Tesla, AJ. I got us covered. But good afternoon, good evening, and thank you all for joining us. We do appreciate you taking time joining us live and on recording. Life is busy, and we're glad to have you here. Listen, AJ, each major equity index closed up modestly as all eyes are on those geopolitical headlines that are jerking us around with crude oil and their volatile swings. But we do get some respite, as you said, with Tesla reporting, and I'm catching it right now. There goes Texas Instruments and Lululemon. I'll grab those. But before we dig into that, you talked about oil. It's trading in the mid-90s to $100 range with this Strait of Hormuz disruptions. We do need to keep an eye on that because that does have a trickle-down impact on the cost of goods that these consumers who are already stretched that are trying to afford. Cryptocurrencies did benefit by gaining 4% on the day with the idea that flight to risk is back on. We'll see. That's a 24-hour market, and we'll see how that goes overnight. But I do want to look at the S&P really quick. So I've got a chart right here. AJ, the S&P just posted a 9.8% gain on a 10-day rally, which is one of the greatest ever recorded. Now, bears are going to say that big moves like this are dangerous, and history says otherwise. Looking at the other top 20 10-day rallies since 1950, 12 months after that, most of the times they gave you a 15 to 18% gain. So I do know that you're a long-term bearish, but short-term, AJ, you and I are both responsible when we trade what's in front of us. So can you give us all kind of an idea of where you are on the SPOOs, diamonds, and other majors?
Well, everything right now, as you mentioned, in the markets is being driven by the geopolitical news. And
Right.
that can be very dangerous because what's happening is investors are moving away from conventional valuation formulas and they're going right, to CNBC to get the headlines. And while we're not afraid of that because as traders, we are making money up, down, and sideways, especially if you know how to trade option spreads. But take a look at my chart that I have here. What I've done is I put Bollinger Bands on. And Bollinger Bands, for those who are unfamiliar with this, John Bollinger, who I happen to know through the Market Technicians Association, basically took moving average envelopes and threw a formula together, including volatility. So what happens is, when the volatility of a stock or a market starts to expand, the bands will widen. And you can see here as I draw some of these lines, see the upper and lower bands, how wide they are. Well, that's also telling us that there's a super wide divergence from the 20-period moving average, which is this charcoal gray down here. So John's, I guess you could say, main strategy is to trade mean reversion. So when you have the market rallying the way it has, see how the highs of the candles are popping above the upper band? Well, we're expecting it to pull back into the band, back to the mean, which is a 20-period moving average. And so I can't say that I'm comfortable with any long positions outside of silver and the silver miners, which we'll be definitely talking about. We got some folks here asking for that already, but we are most likely going to see a snapback to the moving average. And with the price of oil, as you mentioned, inflation is going to rear its ugly head once again.
Yeah.
So,
And you can't cut rates. You can't cut rates right now.
Well, the market seems to be expecting that at least 2 more rate cuts.
No way.
Into the year, but how are they going to do that when inflation is raging forward with higher price oil? So, listen, like I said, if you're an option trader and you're one of our members, we're having a great time in this market, no doubt. But for any investor out there, I'd be very, very cautious with especially any brand new positions that you have. Now, Tesla came out, I believe, right now. Did they release? Let's see what the after hours.
Yeah, so it was 41 cents versus 34, but they just announced negative free cash flow. Negative free cash flow.
Watch Tesla sell off right now. Watch. This is a live chart. This is the reaction to the news. So as the news is coming out, you see this big volumes bar right there? That's the institutions pumping it up. So you can look at this as a live stream pump and dump. And here we go. See, the next red candle is starting to show up. So Tesla's most likely going to pull back here as you're watching this minute by minute. We'll track that as we go along throughout this broadcast. But you got to be really careful, especially the folks that are trading on the news. What I think is going to happen tomorrow is the institutions who got long it right before the news, they're going to try to sell. Oh, my goodness. Look what just happened right there. So it just blew through my little target that I'm trying to show everyone to trade there. But you got to be really careful because tomorrow they'll probably try to pump it up on the opening and then they'll lean on it for the rest of the day. Because if I back out and look at the daily chart, you can see that Tesla is already pivoting after it's hit my upside target from last week. You see that it's hard to see it, Nod. I don't know. Tell me if you could see that little red line in there. But last Wednesday when we did the rapid fire, I put an upside target on Tesla right there. Let me try to get with that little box to pop up. Phil, cooperate with me. Yeah, 402 was my upside target for Tesla, and that hit right here on Friday, and that's Monday, excuse me. And now it's bearish engulfing yesterday. So I think Tesla's going to start coming back down. And that's a mega cap stock. So it's tough if Tesla starts coming down tomorrow. It's probably going to bring the rest of the market down. I mentioned the Dow Transports. Look at this red candle. You see this? Now I'm going to go back 4 years so you can see what I'm looking at here in comparison. I'm going to go to a 4-year daily. Here is your red candle from there to there. Look to the left. And you tell me if you see anything at all like that, or at least closely resembling that. And the answer is a big, fat negatory, good buddy. There it is. There is nothing like that in the 4-year daily candle chart. So you have a divergence between the industrials and the transports. And if you're following Dow theory, which if you're a trader, you should at least know about Dow theory, the transports and the industrials have to confirm one another if you're expecting the trend to continue in the direction that it's going. And right now, the transports are not cooperating. A lot of that, if you take a look at Avis, look at this thing. Oh, my goodness. It annihilated anyone who got long yesterday at 800. It's now, look at that, it's trading 443, almost 444 right now in the after hours. And that thing dropped like a rock. And we told our members last week when we were looking at this in the rapid fire, said this is an untradeable stock because the option markets are so wide. There's no efficiency whatsoever.
Well, it has a low float and a high short interest, and that's just a cocktail for disaster.
Yeah. And you just gotta keep your eye on the charts. And Nod, I might as well throw this out there because the folks that are joining us for the first time don't understand. I don't believe they understand the accuracy of these charts. Okay. Sure. So I'm going to show you something. I don't normally do this. Once in a while I do, but I want to show you, this is our spreadsheet that we keep each and every week from Wednesday to Wednesday to Wednesday. Now, the green colored cells are the targets that were hit from last Wednesday. So in 5 trading days, you have to understand that 30% of our targets have already hit in just 5 trading days. Now that's unusually high. And we have Absurd Nerd right at the top of the list because last week he asked for UEC And what happened? It was a downside target hit perfectly. So we owe Absurd Nerds some swag there. Absurd Nerd, if you're in the house, make sure you contact Nod and give us your address so we could send you that Sticky Trade tumbler, and you'll be able to brag about that to all your friends that you picked the winning stock. All right, but let me go back, and you go one more week. It's a 32%, which is still above normal. So almost a third of the stocks that we analyzed the week before have already hit, which is a little bit above average. But look what happens the week before that. It immediately jumps to 70%, which is what I normally shoot for. I try to get at least 7 out of 10 stocks hitting their targets. But if I go back, and you'll see over time is a lot more green. You see that? Now we go to 84%. You see the week before. And I'm just going to scroll fast because I don't want to take too much time. I go one more week back. Look at that, 82%. Keep going. These are the percentage of hit rate. And then look at that. We got 92%. We're only, what is that, 4 stocks away from getting 100% hit rate on that week's rapid fire session. So if that's not enough evidence for you to hit the like and subscribe button, I don't know what else to tell you. I really don't, because and I would love to be able to take credit for that, but it's not me. It's the charts. And what we put together for our members is we've taken my 40 years of analyzing stocks, and we put it into a trading algorithm for the 7-point trading algo. And you could put any ticker symbol into that algorithm. It's going to give you the buy and sell signals stacked up to find yourself some of the star favorites that we look at. And so towards the end of this broadcast, we're going to be picking another viewer, and we'll get a ticker symbol from them. And if we hit, and I think at least there's a 70 or 80% chance that you'll hit, you too will get some swag from the Sticky Trade crew here. So yeah, we could spend a lot of time just looking at these charts. But now, what else do you have coming out that you want to talk about?
Let's go silver. I have a chart here on silver. So over the last 12 months, spot silver has gained more than 130%. It's been volatile. We are well off of our highs, but the demand is only increasing in China. AJ, China is paying a 12% premium. So it was trading at a 12% premium just last night. It's up 78% month over month with regards to their demand, and 840 tons, which is 173% more than their 10-year average. So with regards to Western silver, we're at about 78. They were paying $90 last night for it, AJ. So with China wanting to have it hand over fist and willing to pay such a huge premium, can you give an update on spot and any of your favorite names that you've been trading?
Well, I think silver, now this is my personal opinion. It's not advice, because we obviously can't give advice here. We'll get shut down by YouTube, unfortunately. You can't even talk about the markets, sadly enough. But I believe if you just keep an eye on the supply crisis that silver is up against right now, and it is a real crisis.
Yeah.
The COMEX is running out of silver. I'll plug Bix Weir has a channel called Road to Ruta. Maybe we'll put that in the description box on the recording. But Bix Weir does a great job analyzing the delivery notices for COMEX, and he'll show you right there from COMEX, from the Mercantile Exchange, that they are running out of inventory. And so as long as that is happening, I have to play silver from the long side. Now, if you look at /SI, which I have somewhere here on there it is. I have it on my chart. You could see that what we're in right now is known as a symmetrical triangle pattern. You see this? Take that low, project that out. There's your triangle, more or less. And we're in the process, I believe, of breaking out of this triangle, which could lead us right back to the highs. Now, I'm extremely bullish on silver, but not just on silver, but some of the silver ETFs that represent silver, particularly PSLV. I think we had somebody in the audience asking for PSLV. Who is that? Mike Bennett?
That was Stan.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you that I've been parlaying PSLV. So I sold some up here. I bought it back, and I bought more shares back here. I have cash available, and I have an alert down here. I don't know if you can see that at 23.56, which is the gap fill from here. Now, we hit my downside target on silver, but we didn't get all the way down to fill or hit this gap right down here. See, this is the diagonal line that we put last Wednesday. So it did a great job hitting that at 24.69. But now we have a half signal. So I did not get to deploy the rest of my cash position into PSLV because it did not fill the gap. So instead, what I did, and I told the VIPs this, I took a sizable position in AG. Now, this is First Majestic Silver, which is going to be one of the beneficiaries of a silver crisis, a supply crisis, because the mining companies are all out trying to produce as much as they can because of the premium in China, but also because of the overall shortage. So as long as there's a shortage in silver, these mining companies, I mean, as one of our VIPs, Gina would say, this is a no-brainer, in my opinion, because I'm taking a long position at fairly cheap stock. I bought more at $20.77 today because if you zoom in here, we've got a bullish Harami. You see that? That's a small little body candle that is falling within the previous, red candle. And the bullish Haramis are similar to bullish engulfing. See, here's a bullish engulfing, so you can see how it went up. And here's a bearish Harami. See how it went down after that. So I'm trading the candles that way. And if you're following along, especially on my X page, I just put in AJ or hashtag AJ SLV trades, and I put out charts periodically on what I'm doing in the silver market. So I like AG, I like PSLV at the lower levels. And as long as you're trading in moderation and using good risk management principles, I think you're going to be okay here, especially if you have patience. I think the people that are going to lose money, I'll just come right out and say, because I want to protect people, are the ones that have the financial programs on and just going with the wind whenever, ceasefire on, ceasefire off, peace, war, is back and forth. The straits are open, the straits are closed, blockade, whatever. I mean, Nod, I know it sounds ridiculous, but you put something out to the VIPs today. It was a headline about how Iran is saying something like the blockade is an act of war. What were your words on that? You put it out to
their posturing had to do with our blockade was an act of war. I think it's just they're trying to fuel us and they're trying to bait us into looking like the bad guys. I mean, we don't need to go down the political hole. But comments like that do trigger algos. It does make oil move. It does move the market. So there's a method to their madness, and unfortunately, you're trying to teach people to kind of take a breath, let things happen, and I
don't want to get too caught up in the drama of the headlines, but we're at war, folks. I mean, we're trying to rid the world of nuclear weapons in the hands of people that want to kill us. I mean, that's the bottom line. So Iran, if anyone's listening, I doubt it very much, but hey, we are at war, and you know how you're going to put an end to this? It's called unconditional surrender. Boom, war over, and everyone goes back to peace. That's the answer to what we're talking about here. But will that happen right away? It's a big question. I don't think so. I don't think they're going to just lie down because they got to save face until you got the Iranian people coming up and really taking control and doing their own regime change. We should not be going in there and do that. We should not be fighting, in my opinion, again, for the people. The people have to fight for themselves. We've done a great job eliminating a lot of the insanity there. And, you got to get up and step up. And I think that's what we're about to see. But how long is that going to take? It's not going to happen in days. And I don't even think it's going to happen in weeks. But in the meantime, we're trading a market that's reacting to that. And what do we want as traders? We want volatility. We want up and down and sideways volatility for the option traders. And that's exactly what we're getting. So, well, look at this. We got to move on. We got the live chat running away. Let's take some ticker symbols from there because we got about 11 minutes to go before we could wrap things up here with your information about the cruise.
That'd be great. Mark, maybe would love for you to look at Meta, please. That was going to go into my my next question.
META. All right. Now, Meta, it's mixed signals because we got a slight pivot higher today, but we've got the sell signal down here on the stochastic, and we have a sell signal on the CCI. So I still have downside targets on Meta, but I'm going to go on an ABCD for the shorter term trades. I'm going to give it a more, I guess you could say, reasonable within the price target, downside target. So I'm putting 655 down there as my target. Now, for you option traders out there, a downside target like that might help you if you're thinking about far out of the money call spreads to take in some premium. If you want to be daring and you want to go ahead and make a directional play, you might decide to buy some longer term puts and do things like that. But I would not be shorting the stock here. I'd be playing the downside through a bearish option play, but I certainly would not be shorting a $674 stock at this level, right as it's at a resistance point. So that's what my downside target is there. So we'll keep an eye on that for Mark. And Mark, being that you were the first one, you know what? We can do two more. I'll do. Let's pick three people, and we'll put price target that. We'll keep track of that on the midweek, the rapid fire, and then if we hit those targets, we'll send the swag out to those folks. Again, for the live viewers, thank you for joining us here on YouTube. What's the next one you got with the name?
Well, Dave Tozy, he's trying to team me up really well. SanDisk is their pick, SNDK, and I was going to talk about the fact that the S&P is now dominated by 45% quote unquote AI stocks. And SanDisk is right in the middle there. They're in a decent spot with regards to memory. But I mean, this too has been kind of one-way traffic. What are your thoughts midterm on this, AJ?
All right, now it's not liking my downside target, and it did an about face today. See this candle? It's a green candle on higher volume. So I think SanDisk for the short term, if Fred is listening, I think he has a position as for the shorter term. I can't go too much higher because the CCI down here is showing a negative divergence already. And while it does not look very much of a target, I would go to $1,011. So we got roughly $31 to the upside there. We still got $31 on the upside. And then when you see the volume drop, then the secondary target, which would be to the downside, will now be enforced. But that's a bullish candle on higher volume. So be careful, anyone that's short that one. It's another one I wouldn't be shorting. $1,000 stock. It doesn't make sense to do that. But yeah, I would go with the upside target on that one for 1,011. We'll see what happens next week. All right, what do you got? One more. And
I was going to say, speaking of $1,000 stocks, WTM would like Berkshire B shares. I think it's the BRK/B.
BRK/B. Yeah, this one, it's hit all my downside targets already. And because of the transportation average, as I mentioned, you could see we got a lot of red here. But if I take a step back and look at the Berkshire Hathaway shares on a weekly chart, you're going to see that we are at a point, a critical level, I would say, of support right here. And so far this week, we're now trading below this support level. So I'm going to go a little bit lower on this one. And again, it's a higher price stock. So I'm going to go, I think this has room to go test the lows from down here. So let me get rid of this trend line here, and I'm going to go further down here, which is going to be the support level here. So downside target, let me round that to 459. I'm going to round that to 459. So we got about 6.5 points to the downside on the Berkshire Hathaway. So if we hit that target, and there's a good chance that we will, again, make sure you give us your address so we can mail you that swag, that tumbler. I think Anthony had a picture of it last week, but it's a nice little gift that we can get out to all of you. Okay, what else you have, Nod?
Well, we talk about the supply chain in our VIP group. We have people that are involved in the petrochemicals and different things, and we have one person who's got a high interest in a company where they have to pass along 15% more costs to their clients because of the cost. You saw Lufthansa's canceling 20,000 of their flights to conserve on fuel, so it's a real issue. So AJ, what about Old Dominion, ODFL, and Uber? Because both of those are sensitive to those type of cost and environment. And I think we haven't covered those in a while.
All right. Well, we'll see. Old Dominion Freight, you're going to put this in the same category as we look at JB Hunt for a good time week after week. Right. But with the transportation average down, this one is showing a bearish engulfing. Do we have a name on this one, or did you just gave this to me? No,
that was just me. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, well, we can't give you the swag, so let's pick somebody. I'm going to put a downside target on this one as well, and let's pick a name out of the hat here. And if this downside target is going to be 215, which is almost what is that? Almost $5 to the downside. And if this one hits the downside, you pick a name and we'll send some swag out to
We'll
that
send
person.
it to Mike Bennett, please.
Mike Bennett, what a lucky dude. You must be in Nod's back pocket there. So, Mike, if that downside target, and remember what I showed you before with this trade record here, there's a very good chance that these are going to hit. Now, let me just show you something why I could quickly put a downside target on it. Let me just step back and show you the signals. Number one, that's a bearish engulfing. That's 80% of the time when you see that happen, bearish engulfing candles result in lower prices. That's number one. Number two, we see a drop in volume here today as it pushed for the high. You see that? The drop in volume, and many of our members could tell you this because they've memorized it through my repetition. The drop in volume on the way up tells us that the buyers are losing momentum. So it's a leading indicator. It's not a lagging indicator at all. So that's bearish signal number two. Number three, we've got the super wide divergence from the moving average. We call that the rubber band effect. And if I look down below that, we've got a sell signal showing up on the stochastic and very close to a sell signal showing up on the CCI. So if you're just looking at a chart and you're measuring buy signals versus sell signals, we got all the sell signals stacking up, and no, not a single buy signal is showing up. So when you look at it that way, minus your opinion, then you're going to be able to put the odds in your favor because the charts are telling you where the pressure is. Is it on the buy side or the sell side? It's sell side pressure right there. I just showed you. So that's where I go with the downside. Now, got to be careful here because I want to make sure you're talking about the cruise for everyone, because we're coming up in October. We're going to have an educational cruise with Royal Caribbean. I don't want anyone to miss that. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got the beach party already planned out. We've got activities on the boat with regard to seminars, webinars. We're going to do more seminars, but we might what do they call that? Multicast? What's that? Simulcast.
Multicast.
Simulcast onto YouTube. We'll see if we could do that. And then one other thing, Nod, I don't want to forget this. This Friday, we have a live Q&A on our YouTube channel. Anthony, just quick shout out. Is that at 12 noon on Friday, I believe? I don't know in the production room. Maybe Anthony can't answer me. But we've got a live broadcast Q&A with the whole team on Friday. So if you want to join us for that, all you have to do is go register on YouTube, hit the like button, and it'll send you the notification. And so now take it away with the cruise, and then we'll pass it back to me for a wrap up. There you go.
Yeah, thanks, AJ. I mean, it's been 2 years since we had to get together. 2 years ago we had some health issues. Last year we had some storm issues, but thankfully now this coming October it's clear sailing, no pun intended. This is people's chance to get up close and personal with our team here. They'll be able to sit. They'll be able to ask you questions direct. We will have some breakout sessions on the boat. It will be some work, but this is your chance to kind of go one-on-one with our coaches, our people, our team. You'll get to know some of your fellow Sticky Trade members, and we'll have some fun together. We'll have dinners together. We've got some events and a cabana set aside. So it's a 3-day cruise, so it's not a tremendous commitment for you. It's in October, so we'll be at the tail end or the end of hurricane season. It's going to be an awesome time. Anthony, there's 4 cabins left, so I do need to get that information in. Not a hard sell. We just want to get a commitment. So if you're able to come and you want to meet people, you want to say hello to AJ and the team, please grab your room, and we'd love to say hey. But StickyTrades.com/cruise.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And in closing here, I'm looking at the craziness in the minute-by-minute chart for Tesla. Take a look at this. Every time they rally it, they slam on the brakes and push it down for a brief moment. So I think we're going to see a lot of that in the minutes to come. And then it'll most likely, like I said before, it'll most likely carry on into the opening for tomorrow's market. So that is it. A quick 30 minutes, as I mentioned. Thank all of you for watching and subscribing and adding those comments. That makes it a much more lively session. And we have you to thank for growing this channel. We really appreciate it. So have a good night. And for those members that are waiting, we'll see you at 6 o'clock for the rapid fire. Take care.